Well, good morning, my family of Rotary. I need to begin with an apology. You see, I speak with an accent. Of course, I am from the United States, but what compounds this issue is that in the United States, we have 12 separate linguistic areas. And I happen to come from an area in southwestern Pennsylvania that has its own linguistic pattern. So what I speak is commonly referred to as Pittsburghese. And I promise you I'm not going to use any Pittsburghese in my presentation, but if you'd like a sample of Pittsburghese, it sounds like this. Jeet yet? No. Jew? Got a red up. Well, what are you going to do with those gum bands? So if you'd like to have a translation of that, you can see me after my presentation. So as I picked up your incredible program for this weekend, I started looking at all the options for the amazing things that you're going to have an opportunity to see and hear and listen to. And I began to wonder, how do you choose? How do you know what's most important to Rotary? Is it increasing our membership? Is it launching our new strategic plan? Or is it finishing our job of eradicating polio or building our peace centers? How do we begin to answer that question? What's most important to Rotary? To do that, let's start at the beginning, when we each found Rotary. Now, I found Rotary and Rotary found me at a time when we both needed it. So the story really is this, and I don't mind sharing this with you because you're all part of my family. So I had been married previously, and after 7 years became divorced. And you know, when you're married, you do married things together. You go on vacation together, you go see movies together, you shop together. Well, I suddenly had big blocks of time. I worked at a local university close to where I lived, and a woman who worked in the same building wandered into my office one day, and she said, "Stephanie, would you like to come to a Rotary Club meeting?" And I looked at her and said, "What the hell is Rotary?" I had never heard of it. Nobody in my family had ever been in a community service organization. My father would have been a great Rotarian. He owned a tavern in the town I grew up in that serviced a local steel mill. He would have been a great Rotarian, but nobody had asked him. So Eileen stood there and she gave me what we call the elevator speech about Rotary, and she started to talk about it. And when she got to the international part, I was completely hooked. So I said, yes, I'll go to a Rotary Club meeting. So I went to a meeting, and I went to a second meeting, and by the fourth meeting, I was doing the newsletter. 2 years later, I was club president, and you know the rest is history. So Rotary found me at the right time. So I give time, and to my ability, I give of my resources until it feels good. You know, Rotary service has at times made me laugh, and at other times it makes me cry. But what it always does, always, is make me feel good. The benefit I get is psychological. You know, I'm not wealthier. I don't have more time being a Rotarian, but what I do have is plenty of psychic income. Working on behalf of others or for a cause ends up causing improvements in my own life. I've learned so much more in volunteer service than I ever learned in a classroom. So while I'm out there changing the world, I'm actually changing myself. Past Rotary International President Sakuji Tanaka had as his Rotary theme, peace through service. And he said, by making service our priority, we put the needs of others above our own and transform our perspective. We empathize more deeply with the difficulties of other people. We feel a greater drive to reach out, to do what we can to help others live more happily. Our immediate past president, Ian Risley, reminded us that Rotary is making a difference. And our current president, Barry Rassin, encourages us to be the inspiration. President-elect Mark Maloney knows that Rotary connects the world. Let me share with you just a number of stories about how this Rotary service connects all of us and why all of these presidents are correct. In the year 2000, I found myself standing in India, as some of you have done, on a National Immunization Day. And what was most remarkable about the NID in India was the fact that so many people were involved. It is no wonder that we have made the strides we have in eradicating polio, because nobody sits still. Everybody is out. Rotarians are out, government workers are out, medical people are out. Everybody is out immunizing children. So one of the remarkable things about that day was that we were hosted by Indian Rotarians who kept taking us from spot to spot to spot. And I remember saying to one Rotarian, "Why do you keep moving us? If I would stay in one place, I could immunize so many more babies." And he said, "Oh, miss, you need to understand, when our Rotarians see that you have come halfway around the world out of your own pocket, it gives our Rotarians the commitment to continue." He says, "Because you see, there's not just donor fatigue, there's volunteer fatigue. So thank you for coming all this way." After that, I didn't say another word. Just go ahead, move me, let's go, let's go. At the very last station of the day, we had arrived at a slum, and the tables were not quite set up. So we had to wait on the side, and we were doing that, and I noticed a little girl standing with what was either her sister or her mother. And she was a beautiful little girl with long dark hair, big dark eyes, and she looked at me, and she wouldn't stop looking at me. If I moved to the left, she kept gazing. If I moved to the right, she kept staring. Finally, the line opened, and she ended up in front of me. And I noticed that she started shaking violently. So I said to the woman with her, "Oh my goodness, is your child okay?" And she says, "Oh, don't worry, don't worry." And you can guess where this is going. She said, "She's never seen white skin or yellow hair. You're the boogie woman." So despite being the boogie woman, that child let me put the drops, those 2 magic drops, on her tongue. And today, she's 25 years old, and she's walking through the streets of Mumbai because of what you and I have done to eradicate polio. And we've become part of history. This one is always a true visual delight. Now, for those of you who may have any background in Eastern Europe, you may recognize this. This is called a babushka. It's the same word that represents grandmother. So this babushka actually came from my grandmother. I told you it was a vision. And when I was preparing for a year of service as governor, my grandmother reminded me that we have family in Eastern Europe. And I thought about it and thought about it, and about the same time, I had lost 2 friends to breast cancer. One was my college roommate, and one was a woman who worked at a local university, and they were both very young, way too young to pass away. So that disease was on my front burner. And somewhere, I read about a hospital in southeast Poland that had no mammography equipment. It had an old machine that they had pushed into a corner. It was irreparable, couldn't get parts. And I thought, that's a problem that Rotarians can solve. So I asked all the clubs in my district to rally around that cause, And every club did something different, and we ended up raising enough money, and through the magic of the Rotary Foundation, received a matching grant for a biopsy unit. And in 2003, I was able to take a friendship team to Krakow, and in this little community called Nowa Huta, we did put a mammography unit. And I remember the dedication day, and Siemens had waived all of the value-added taxes, and they had sent a team of technicians to train the Poles on how to use the equipment. And they were all standing in the back of the room smiling, just smiling, and I looked at the people and realized, we're saving lives of Polish women that we will never meet. And for 7 years after that project ended, the Rotary Club of Krakow provided us with statistics, and over that time, more than 5,000 mammograms were done. So because of your support to the Rotary Foundation, because of what you did and what I did, we saved lives of women that we will never meet, and that's part of the magic of the Rotary Foundation. I often say that, yes, we believe in international service, but we also believe in looking at our own communities. The world begins in our backyard. It doesn't end there, but it begins there. So every Rotary Club does a thorough assessment of its own community and decides, how can I make life better for people who are already here? In my area, we have something we call pop-up projects. They are simply short-term projects that get the energy of people, and we think about something that we can do and make it happen. So our most recent pop-up projects are something called birthday bags. And birthday bags are simply big plastic bags in which 7 items are placed: a foil pan, a box of cake mix, a tub of icing, candles, napkins, a table cover, and plates. And what we do is take those to our local food pantry, and with the help of the Ministerium Association and the local school districts, we find children who are in food insecure homes and cannot celebrate a birthday unless they had the help of a birthday bag. Many years ago, I was on the board of one of our local food banks, and the reason for the project is we were celebrating a birthday. One of the administrative staff had a birthday, and we had balloons and cake, and a woman walked into the food bank with 4 children. And I remember the little child was watching us celebrate, and he pulled on his mother's sleeve, and he said, "Mom, do I have a birthday?" And she said, "Be quiet, we don't do that," which broke my heart. Because a birthday is such a special, important day. I mentioned earlier to another group, the day we were born, the world changes, and it's never the same. And every child deserves to have that special feeling of, this is the day that I came into the world. So through a district grant, we've continued that project. So again, because of the support that you give the Rotary Foundation and I give the Rotary Foundation, we're able to do those projects that provide so much magic. The one that I want to end with is really a long-standing project that we've done. And we have 2 senior centers in my community. And once a year, we take a bag, not unlike this, and we fill it with items that are appropriate for senior citizens. We put in canned soup and hand lotion and Kleenex and flashlights and batteries and anything that fills the bag up. And we take it to the senior center along with people from our Rotary clubs and our families. It's a family of Rotary event. And during that day, they put coffee on at the senior center. We take cookies, we take games, we have a game day, and we interact with the seniors and then leave them with that gift. We don't just drop it off. So we spend time with them. And they are very, very grateful for the time that we do spend with them, and we make a lot of new friends. And inevitably, we get cards, thank you cards from that group. And I've always kept a couple of them that were just wonderful, so I'd like to read them. Thank you for the useful bag of household items you gave us at the Cannon House. Everyone was excited over the fact that the flashlights had batteries in them. Thank you and bless you for the work you do. But this is the one that is really, really special. Thank you for the spring bag. It was very much appreciated and very useful. It had things in it that senior citizens can't afford. I was very much surprised. If at any time I can help you, please call me. So it went full circle. Here's a lovely woman, and we were there to help bring her social support and be new friends to her, and she's offering her service to us. So indeed, we did call on her. When we had our next spaghetti dinner, we asked her to walk through the senior center and see how many people would like to come to the dinner. So to bring this back full circle, what matters most to Rotary? And if you've been listening carefully, the answer is that you do. Past President Banerjee said, "Everything we need for our Rotary service can be found within us. The strength, the love, the motivation, we don't have to look elsewhere, it's inside." You matter to the Rotary Foundation and to Rotary. Rotarians like you here in Australia pave the way. Rotarians like you get it. It's the passion and the actions of these 4 Australian districts that are making a difference. Together you connect. Together you inspire. Together you transform. Together you are better. So whatever you do to change the world matters to Rotary and to the Rotary Foundation, and also to those who benefit by the service you provide. So thank you. Your presence here this weekend tells me that you believe in and you support and you love Rotary, and that you find it simply irresistible. Until we meet again, stay well and keep celebrating all the good you and your districts do here and in the world. Thank you so very much.